When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
Dr. Raj.
Dr. Raj Dasgupta.
The most interesting pulmonologist in the world.
Welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast, a show all about empowering knowledge, addressing difficult topics, raising awareness, and being positive. Dr. Raj is a quadruple board-certified physician, associate professor of clinical medicine, and the associate program director of internal medicine residency. He was a co-host on the TNT series Chasing the Cure with Ann Curry, as well as a regular on the TV show The Doctors. And now, here's our show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast. And what is this a podcast of? It's a podcast of happiness and wellness, great stories, and amazing people. Today, I am super excited and hungry because my guest is Aarón Sánchez. But before I introduce him, let me read his bio. So Aarón Sánchez is an award-winning chef, TV personality, author, and philanthropist. He is the co-star of MasterChef and MasterChef Junior on Fox. A James Beard Award winner, Aarón has been recognized by the Hispanic Federation and National Hispanic Media Coalition as a leader for the Hispanic community, dedicated to preserving Latino culture through food and encouraging diversity in the kitchen. He launched the Aarón Sánchez Impact Fund, a nonprofit whose mission is to uplift Latino youth through education and mentorship. Aarón is also the co-founder and creative director of Cocina, a media company and full-service production house founded with a simple premise: create and share stories that represent the best of Latino culture. Aarón television career spans over 2 decades, starring on hit TV shows like Food Network's Chopped and the Emmy-nominated series Taco Trip. In addition to being the chef owner of several restaurants throughout the U.S., like Johnny Sanchez, Showbird, and Adobo Cantina, Aarón is a partner in the world-renowned tattoo shop and museum Daredevil Tattoos in NYC. He lives in New Orleans and in Louisiana with his 2 dogs, Moose and Balto. With that being said, Aarón, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, Dr. Raj. Thank you so much for that rousing introduction. Wow. You know, you forget about the cool stuff you do in life. And I got to say, thank you for giving a shout out to my little pups. They don't get enough attention, actually. So I'm happy that they got represented.
Well, you're going to make my dog Clifford a little jealous, but you're the guest. I want to make you happy.
Cool. All good. Clifford. So, I always like trip out when people name their dogs like human names. You know what I mean? It's always like, totally. I want to name my dog something else, like, you know, something random, you know, so like Moose and Balto. Anyway.
Well, I always wish Clifford was big and red, like the storybooks, but no, he's lazy.
Yeah. Well, you as a doctor can appreciate the reason I named Balto. Yeah. So in the turn of the century, the 20th century, there was an outbreak of smallpox, I want to believe, in Alaska. Okay. And it was in Rome, Alaska. And what happened was that the weather was so trifling, they couldn't get the medicine to a bunch of kids who were sick, who were literally on the clocks, like 30 kids in this really remote town of Rome. And they basically assembled a group of sleigh dogs to bring the medicine. So they would basically 8 different teams. They would hand off the medicine to another team and they would continue to haul ass. And the last one that made it and basically gave his life, this sled dog, that kind of like just made the final push. Was named Balto, and he's one of the most famous dogs. Yeah, so he's like actually travels around the country still, and they put him in museums, and he's like this regal, Alaskan Siberian, whatever dog. He's amazing. So I named my dog after him.
You know what? Now I feel like I gotta think better for my name. Your name has a great story behind it, dude. Good job on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, here's how I'm going to structure the conversation. Let's talk about your culinary career first. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're my first guest. I didn't want the questions in advance. So if I made them too difficult, that's my bad.
No worries.
Okay. So how did your upbringing in Mexico influence your cooking style and the dishes you create?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, first of all, I was brought up, I was born on the border, so Paso Juarez. So I'm truly bicultural and bilingual, and I really sort of have one foot in both cultures and countries. And it basically, when I started out initially, I wanted to assemble like a wealth of knowledge through mentors. And I think very much like in your business as well, you identify people that you admire, that they're kind of doing something that you would want to go into, a field or a particular speciality that you want to go into. Then I started to sort of engage these different chefs and people that I admire, and made myself available and said, you know what, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll come in early, leave late. I just want to be a sponge and absorb all of your teachings. And then from that process, you begin to develop your own style. And then you take all of the beautiful learnings and teachings and those sort of conversations that you have, and then you kind of put that into this machine that is you, and you spit it out, and then that's your food. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I approached it early on. And then as I've gotten older as a chef, more than 25 years in the game, now I've started to kind of go full circle and be really inspired by grandma's kitchen and stripping it down and going back to roots. So that's kind of where I am as a chef.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So I know you make tons of dishes, but I'm going to make you pick. So which dish are you the most proud of creating? And tell me why. I want to know.
Yeah. Well, like just kind of like reiterating and reinforcing what I just said earlier. But I think one of the dishes that I just absolutely love is this chicken wing recipe, which sounds kind of rudimentary and simple, but it's actually a dish that has a lot of significance because I used to play basketball in high school. Oh. My mom had a restaurant for 30 years in New York City. She worked at night. So when we would come back from school or from practice, she'd leave these beautiful pineapple, chili, ginger, scallion marinated soy wings in the fridge. And then I'd come by with my buddies and my teammates, and we just basically put these in the oven, and then we garnish with chopped pineapple.
Oh.
And so it was like this kind of like ode to like huli huli chicken in Hawaii. But you know what I'm saying? So I kind of had that little citrusy soy aromatic love. And then that was one of the dishes I love to do now, especially for dinner parties. Kids are baked, so they're actually healthier. So they're not fried. So you as a doctor will appreciate that.
So let me ask you this off topic, man. So what position did you play in basketball, and were you good? Were you riding the bench, Aarón? Were you a bencher? Were you on the bench?
And I would be the first one to tell you. You know what I mean? But first of all, I'm a 6 foot Mexican left-handed point guard. The only reason I got to play was because I'm left-handed. So it's a huge advantage if you're left-handed and you play basketball, like in any sport. Like the guys that I work with in the kitchen, they were left-handed, quarterbacks, left-handed, whatever, pitchers, and you have to be 50% as good as a right-hander to make it. You know what I mean? So that's how I got to play Burn, and I got game in New York City, which is the most competitive place to play basketball. There's no doubt about it. We don't have soccer, we don't have football because there's no space. So the only game in town is basketball. So in order to be good, you have to be good. You know what I mean? So I was able to start my freshman, sophomore year, and then came up. As a 6-man basically through my junior and senior year. So I got to play.
So I mean, you're in Texas, you're in NYC. So who's your basketball team? Who you rooting for, man?
Yeah,
the NBA. Who do you root for? You're everywhere.
Initially. It's so funny because my older brother, who's a patriarch of my family, in El Paso, Texas, he was a Boston Celtic fan, and he still is. Diehard Green. Yeah. How he did that, I don't know. So in 1986, they played the Houston Rockets with Hakeem Olajuwon, Ralph Sampson, the Twin Towers. And I just love, because my mom had a huge Senegalese workforce at the restaurant, and I just love the African culture. So I gravitated to Hakeem Olajuwon, and he became my favorite player. So Hakeem with the Houston Rockets. So I love them. And then as I got older, I rooted for the New York Knicks during the Miami Heat, in Indiana Pacers in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
With Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
All of those kind of rivalries I loved. So yeah. New York Knicks. Now I'm by default, I guess I have to root for the damn Warriors, which I hate. But my girlfriend, who I'm living with here in Concord, Walnut Creek area, they're all Warrior fans. But then I default to the New Orleans Pelicans as well. So I'm kind of all over the place.
I love it. So, okay, we have to go back to cooking. So, ingredients. I got to know, man, what's your favorite ingredient to work with and why?
Yeah, I mean, chilies as a whole, I think would be the more broader ingredient, but within that, there's so many different varieties, whether it's fresh, smoked, pickled. There's so many different sort of iterations of chilies that I like to use because I feel, that and acidity are too essential in texture. So acidity, texture, and then spice are some elements that always need to be present in my dishes. Because what do they do? Well, texture has something crunchy that keeps your palate engaged. Spice wakes it up, allows you to kind of like sort of say, okay, cool. It can take something very boring like chicken and all of a sudden take it to the next level. And then acidity makes you salivate. So it makes you want another bite. So all of these kind of elements, why somebody won't think about that deep, they do make sense and they're necessary properties in dishes.
Oh, man. Okay. I told you I was going to get hungry, Aarón.
I got you, big dog. Don't worry about it.
I told you.
I want you and your wife to cook something stellar tonight, okay?
All right.
I'm inspired. Chef Aarón got me going.
Well, speaking of my wife, we watch you all the time. I mean, for decades on Chop. We love you. So I told my wife I was going to ask you some questions about that. So my wife and I came up with this question. We want to know what's the biggest challenge that you face when judging like Master Chef or being a judge on Chop. What's the biggest challenge?
Well, they're two different shows. I mean, the idea, Chop, I think we've done over 500 shows.
I think so.
There. Yeah, I was there in episode 1, just to give you a perspective. I was in the damn pilot. So I have a long relationship with Food Network, obviously, going past 2 decades, and they've always been my home. Okay. And then, so the difference between Chop versus MasterChef, Chop, it's a very brief moment that we have with them because they're professionals. So the idea is that we throw them into the gauntlet, into the fire, and them as professionals should be able to react quicker than a novice, right? Sure. So it's a very brief moment. So we're kind of a little bit more stern with them because there's no reason to overcook a piece of fucking salmon. You know what I'm saying? It's just my language, like, you know what I'm saying? There's no reason to underseason. Like, you're supposed to be a G. You know what I mean? Like, what's up? So then there's that. So there's very little mentoring happening, but there is a lot of excitement and a lot of sort of boom, boom, boom. And then we get to really sort of see these chefs either really, go to the top or sink. So I like that about Chop. It's immediate satisfaction, right? Yeah. So something like MasterChef, you're more invested, right? So now you're starting with 20 contestants. Yeah. You're watching their journey. You're seeing them become from amateurs, home cooks, to all of a sudden showing the signs of being a professional. And that's where we come in. So there's a mentoring process that happens that is very rewarding for me as a judge. So in working alongside arguably the world's most decorated chef, Gordon Ramsay, and then having that ability to sort of also add my critiques is very empowering. And, at the end of the day, what makes MasterChef beautiful is no matter if you win, lose, or draw, you're walking away with unbelievable life lessons and that confidence to actually open your own business. So you have a lawyer that's kind of sitting in the doldrums of their business and their work and they hate it. And they're like, and then I'm 42, 43, I want to do a career change and do something crazy, like get into the food world. Yeah. And then we're giving them that confidence and that boost to finally open their little cupcake shop or their little mom and pop restaurant. So it's really special to be put in that position.
Oh, let me go off script again. From when we watch Chopped, and it seems like everyone overdoes it on the truffle oil. Why do people do that? Why do they just dump it on there? They know you're going to yell at them. You always call them out. Why do they overdo the truffle oil?
I don't know. I just think it's something that, it's like a cheap way of being luxurious. You know what I'm saying? It's like everyone's been in a restaurant, a hotel elevator, and someone has too much damn cologne on. That's what I liken it to. You know what I mean? Like, pump the brakes, baby. You know what I mean? Like, there's no need. So I think that it's a lack of professionality and also just understanding how ingredients work.
No,
it's
totally.
It's gonna completely drown out whatever you put on it. So everything in sort of moderation. You know what I mean? That's all I want to say to that. So.
Of course. Now, you already kind of touched base on this, but I'm going to kind of modify it a little bit because my question was about mentoring, and it was about the young chefs. And I love what you said about helping to encourage them to get to that next level. But is there specific advice that you give them, whether it be for the kitchen itself or in life, trying to get to their next desire? What advice do you give them?
Yeah, there's so many different pieces of advice, and just actually things that I've been through. I think the biggest part is not to necessarily, take something that you've read on a damn wall or something you read in a book. It's more about, okay, cool. This is what I went through. This is the kind of advice I was giving, and it proved to be true and was effective for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you read these self-help books and, people, spouting off all these wonderful, encouraging things, which is great. No, I'm not taking away from them. But how is that applicable to your story, and how can somebody relate to that is my point. That's why sometimes I have issues with that. It's great to say all these empowering messages, and I use them too. But how does that apply to your story? And why are people taking the time to listen to you? So what I would say to people is, like, again, find mentors, make a list of 5 mentors and people that you are totally inspired by. Yeah. Engage them, write them a letter, say I will do whatever it takes. And then from there, understand what your goal is. Like, what area of food service do you want to get into? 10% of chefs like myself that are actually restaurant chefs make it. Yeah. So you're talking about a very minority, a small group of people that work in kitchens and restaurant kitchens, and make additional income to support their mission. So my whole thing is, like, my kid, the Aarón Sánchez Impact Fund, I graduated 19 kids up to this point. I have 5 more in the program. We're going to put 5 more in next year. Super stoked. I've graduated 19. Like I said, each one costs $65,000. Okay. Oh. So that's 11-month program. Yep. They go to New Orleans to Noki, the premier culinary school in the premier food city in America, in my opinion, New Orleans. Yep. And they come out of there, full of piss and vinegar, ready to conquer the world. And it's just amazing. So, our youth is our most valuable commodity.
Yes,
so
it is.
We need to make sure that we cultivate that next generation of chefs. And I wanted to do that through the Latino lens.
I appreciate that. Now, so once again, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I want to make sure I touch base on some of your restaurant philosophy. Okay. So I got some questions about that. My wife liked this one. It took me a while to come up with this one. So what do you feel is the most important element for creating a successful restaurant experience?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that goes into play. I think experience and having a clear-cut message with your food. So I always say that, fusion equals confusion, right? So when you portray a restaurant, let it come from a culturally accurate place, right? So when you start putting Chinese and Mexican food together, you're going to have a shit show. You know what I'm saying? There's no clear direction and no clear message. So that's why I suggest, try to find, something that has a foundation of significance, and then you can kind of play within that world. And then, of course, hospitality and service are 2 different things, right? I hope people know that, and then watch this. Hospitality is anticipating the need of somebody else, and you fulfilling that, and that gives you joy, right? So I'll give you an example. Like if I'm sitting out here, sadly here in Northern California, it's a little chilly today, but if it was hot and I'm sitting there, say I'm at a hotel pool, right? Hanging out, and I start to sweat a little bit. And then you as a server walk by me and say, damn, in their mind, then they come back unannounced, wet towel, frozen grapes, a little lychee mocktail. Yeah. Here you go, sir. I saw you were a little warm, a little hot. Here's something from us. That's hospitality, baby. Unannounced. Yeah. Unprovoked. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. In service is putting down a fork, a knife, taking an order. You know what I'm saying? Clean the table. They're 2 distinct things. And I think when you have that going on and you make that delineation, you're going to be successful. And then the last part we'll say is, like, service will always reign. brain in the restaurant. So, the kitchen, we can have a bad day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever happens, the damn gas goes out. I got a shitty delivery.
Yeah.
Two guys got in a fight in the back, whatever. I've dealt with it all in my career. But if we couple that with, if you always forgive a restaurant if the service is amazing, right?
Yeah.
You'll forgive a bad dish.
Of course.
But when the service is badass, then we saved it. And there's a saying in the restaurant business: once we have their asses in the building, we can fix it, right? So we might mess up. We might mess up an order. They might not like the cocktail. They might think the guacamole is too spicy, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But as long as they're in the building, we can fix it. We can rectify it by sending another one, by doing something else to supplement that. You know what I'm saying? So that's all the key as well. You know?
That's an awesome answer. Oh my God. Yeah. So this one I just thought would be interesting on your take. So what are your thoughts on the current trend of authentic Mexican cuisine in the United States?
Well, yeah, I mean, shit me. Sorry. Don't get me started, Dr. Raj. Really, like, shit me. You know, it's like, first of all, when I think about anybody that's talking about authentic anything, if they're younger than 30 years old, I don't want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? like, it's like, I mean, how much knowledge have you actually attained at that juncture of your life, right?
Yeah.
So you're tackling a subject matter like Mexican food or like Indian food or something that has a vast history.
Okay.
And a regionality to it. And then you, in your infinite wisdom, want to come in there and say, I'm doing authentic. Holy shit. You better be ready. You know what I mean? And that's all I'm saying. You know, and that's primarily why I didn't want to do Mexican food early on in my cuisine. Because my mom said, look, Aarón, you need to be well-versed. You need to travel. You need to talk to the older ladies, go into these villages, like really immerse yourself and get to it. And then that's why I did Nuevo Latino, which is more kind of a hybrid kind of mixture of different like cultures. And I did that for the better part of my 20s and was successful at it. And then when I felt I was ready to do Mexican food, I did Mexican food by way of Centrico, my restaurant in New York City. So.
You know, Aarón, I got to tell you, you are pretty freaking funny, dude. You are busting me up. I love your personality, bud.
Oh, no. I mean, look, and I think the chefs are portrayed as very like, I don't know, curmudgeon-y and kind of like, you know, intense people. And we are intense. Like I'm different when I'm here versus the kitchen, you know, but I still maintain that joy and that love for what I do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm living a blessed life, you know? So, anyway.
I'm going to start quoting you, man. When we go out to dinner with our friends, I'm going to throw out you know what they say, fusion is confusion.
Exactly.
They're going to love me. They're going to love me.
Okay, Doc, they already love you, buddy. You don't need my help, all right? Come on, stop it.
But hey, let me ask, this is another one that me and my wife came up with because my wife believes in this quite a bit. She wants to know how you source ingredients for your restaurants. And why is sustainability important to you? Because we read about that about you.
Yeah. Well, it's challenging. You know, you know, fuck, this is a huge conversation. We can do a podcast just on this subject, but you know, we're living in a time where everything is up in price, right? So you want great farm, you know, excavated ingredients. That's going to come at a price.
Yeah.
You want all of these things done and fabricated, but you know, you don't want to pay. You know what I'm saying? We're living, and I say that we're living in the time of the $20 salad. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't want to admit that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, guys, look at the prices. I mean, you're talking about $50 steaks, and it's warranted.
Yeah,
I purchase these things, and in order for me to make a profit or say open, I need to charge this. So I just ask patience from you as customers to come in and understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And here's the other. You know, where are you located, Doc? Are you in California?
Yeah, I'm in like the Pasadena area.
Okay, cool. You know, a lot of times, you know, especially California, where I'm at as well. People are like, I'm all about farm to table. Like, I want to know the name of my chicken and like pluck it. And I want to know the name of my mango and all this kind of shit. Which I like recently caught. I'm like, dude, here's the deal. Like, farm to table is not a novelty. It's been happening since the beginning of time.
Of course.
Source the best ingredients closest to you and manipulate them very little. That's farm to table. So it's like, it kind of eats my chompies when people are like, oh, this is my mission.
Yeah.
Or chef driven restaurant. What, as opposed to dishwasher-driven restaurant. Like, what the hell, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just befuddled, bro. Like, befuddled. You know, like. So anyway, so just get the best ingredients. Work with local farmers, like I said, but don't make it a big thing. It's your mission to do that. You know what I mean? It's your job as a chef. You don't have to shout it to the world that that's what I do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People, they can tell. The proof is in the pudding, like they say, baby. You know?
Of course. Man, so I only got a couple more questions left. I want to go personal because I think it's nice to know about you. So when you're hanging out with your family, you know what I mean? I know we talked about the chicken wings, which is, by the way, my daughter's favorite meal, Mina. But what is your favorite meal to cook at home when you're with family? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I make a real simple dish called fideos, which is kind of a riff off of my mom's really wonderful kind of home style dish I just love to make. It's basically toasted like little alphabet pasta with a roasted tomato and cilantro broth. And it's just yummy with cotija cheese at the end. It's kind of like a risotto, a Mexican style risotto. Okay. And it just like fills you with joy. It is just unbelievably, epically delicious. Okay? And then Raj, if we can get done in like the next 5 minutes, will be great. And the only reason is because my wife, the love of my life, is going to Antioch to work at the hospital. So I'm going to be I'm going to work with her at her hospital today. Just
nice. No, we got 2 more.
Okay, go.
My homie over there. All right. Yeah. This one. What is a misconception about Mexican cuisine that you like to clear up?
Well, I think people should know that it's regional. There's 32 states in Mexico. Each state has its own kind of culinary identity. So just really, when you go out there, ask for the regional dishes. This kind of homogenized Mexican food, just like, I call it the gloop. Oh, you want some rice and beef? You want some of this? Something rolled with a tortilla and some kind of mystery meat? Some mystery meat inside? Go. You know, and then everything just kind of goes out there with some big ass pie like that. We don't want that. No bueno. So we want to clean the Mexican food and make sure we can sort of identify all the ingredients and then have, again, a basic cultural reference.
Oh, I love it. And, our last question, I just say this to let people know, my listeners, what are some culinary projects that you're currently working on or something you're proud of you're working on? So we can end on that note. All right.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I encourage everybody to kind of, follow me on social media, obviously. I Chef Aarón Sánchez on Instagram and all the good stuff. But what I'm currently working on is, cultivating all my graduates from the Impact Fund, helping them sort of design their own restaurants and get behind them and sort of be kind of like this mentor, but on the culinary business side, and teach them a little bit of that. And then also, just kind of expanding what we do with Johnny Sanchez, my restaurant in New Orleans, and just making sure that we're doing more outlets of that and continue to engage with everybody, whether it's on a new show in Spanish or English. So go into cocina.com, find out what I'm doing there, and that will kind of engage you and hopefully encourage you to watch what I'm doing, whether it's on Hulu, whether it's on Fox, whether it's on Puno or whatever. Come and check me out.
Oh, you're the best. And everyone, all my fans, listen to Dr. Raj podcast. That is Aarón Sánchez. He's cool, down to earth. And I just love you. I love you.
I love you. And I love it. And this is what they call in Buddhism conspicuous benefits. You make a call, you reach out, and I just say what a pleasure it is. And everybody that's listening to, all your fans, he's the real deal. Dr. Raj is the man. Okay. Aww. So continued success. And thank you to all of you guys that are listening. I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Aarón. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. Raj podcast. If you enjoy the show, then please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating while you're there. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. This has been a production of MedPrep2Go, and you can learn more at medprep2go.com.